think we're good. For now. Hello, my name is Sam, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This has been a project in the making for a very long time. I'm pretty sure everybody in my life who has known me in the past year knows that I've wanted to start a YouTube channel. Actually, not even just in the past year. Everybody in my life for a very long time knows that I've wanted to make a YouTube channel. You may be wondering, why would you watch this commentary channel versus all of the other ones on YouTube? But I have created what I hope is going to be a niche that I can really latch in on. And that is solely talking about one-season TV shows. There are so many one-season TV shows that I have really enjoyed and I have always wished that there was a little bit more of, or one-season TV shows that I've been very content that there was just one season of. And that's what I want to talk about, because while a lot of other people are talking on YouTube about the multi-season TV shows that have gone on for many years and have developed a really big fan base because of that, there's a lot of shows that don't have as big of a fan base and don't have as many viewers because it didn't have the same amount of time to grow. I will hopefully be introducing people to new shows and maybe find a fellow fandom community. Little side note about me, just because this is the first video, so you may be wondering, who is this girl? Why should we value anything she has to say about television? I love writing screenplays. I would love to write for TV someday, but I also am very uncomfortable talking in front of a camera. So I'm hoping that this will develop my skills not only as somebody who can talk about television in a critical sense, but also somebody who can talk in front of a camera and become more comfortable in that kind of sense. I also really want to get better at video editing, so while this video might be a little rough, I'm hoping that over time I can get better at that as well. You may also be wondering, if I'm just going to be talking about one-season TV shows, my videos can't possibly be as long as the ones that are talking about the 7-season long TV shows, all of those, right? That's also going to be probably a common misconception because I can talk a lot. So I have a feeling that this video is also going to be multiple hours long. I can already tell you that much. One of the things that I love about one-season TV shows is that I'm able to sort of use them as a palate cleanser for the really long TV shows that I like. Especially one-season comedies. It's really great to watch a one-season comedy in between long-running dramas. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, a one-season comedy that was on in 2022. And this show is called... Hello? Hello? My iPad says that it's currently on screen. What? And that show is called Reboot. Remember when I said that I wanted to get better at this? Hey, editing Sam here. I didn't realize until my final watch through that I accidentally deleted the clip where I apologized for the fact that you can't really see my TV screen that well. This was the first time that I ever filmed in the morning rather than afternoon, so I didn't realize how the light was going to reflect in my room. Learning as I go, but I'll also tell you everything you need to know. Reboot was a show that aired on Hulu in the fall of 2022. The first 3 episodes aired in the same time and then the rest followed weekly. I personally watched all of the episodes after the season had concluded. For this video, which again I mentioned has been a year in the making, I rewatched the show for the first time since the fall of 2022. When I watched it for the first time, it just didn't really stick with me. But after the rewatches, I really liked it. So I was trying to think about why the first time I just didn't really plan on rewatching it again. I completely honestly think it's because I watched the show while I was doing other things, like I would be cooking and the show was on in the background, things like that. I was really glad that the second time that I watched it, I was really giving the show like a focus. Once I was invested in the show, I was invested in the show. I wanted to know more. While I already sort of knew that this is what I wanted the first video to be about, after that first rewatch, I knew for sure, because it went from a show that I didn't really have much to say about, I couldn't remember the plot, I could barely remember the characters, to a show that I felt like they did so much in those 8 episodes. And to me, that's what a one-season TV show is all about. You have less than 10 hours worth of content. For a comedy, that's about 4 hours worth of content. How much are you able to express to the viewer? How invested are the viewers going to get with the characters? I love that. When it's done really well, it's very satisfying when so much can be condensed into a short amount of time, especially with a show that you know it's only going to be one season, but that's a whole other thing. We will talk about those at another time. You may be wondering though, Sam, you've been talking for a very long time, like, about the show, just conceptually. When are you going to start talking about the show actually? Right now. Let's talk about the characters. Oh my god, this chair! I need people to watch these videos so I can get monetized so then I could buy a new chair. I also could technically just fix this chair. I need people to watch these videos so I can get monetized so I can buy whatever I need to fix this chair. So what is the show Reboot about? It's about a 2000 sitcom being rebooted in 2022. Because of the whole show within a show concept, we have these 4 characters who play actors in the show Step Right Up, which is the 2000 sitcom being rebooted. It's very much a commentary on how like every show from the 2000s is being rebooted right now instead of networks choosing original content, often because that already has the built-in fan base rather than trying something original, which is a little bit more risky. The show Step Right Up was written by Gordon, who is the father of Hannah. Hannah is also a writer. They're both writers. Hannah is the one who brought up the idea of rebooting the show to Hulu. The 4 main actors on that show are Bree, Reed, Clay, and Zach. We also have the main character, Elaine, who is an executive at Hulu. The show was distributed by Hulu, and so in the series, this is also being distributed by Hulu. Something that I thought was really cool casting-wise, and I hope that I explain this in the way that I mean to, because Okay, so in the universe of this show, you would recognize the show Step Right Up as something from 20 years ago and also be watching it now. So you would recognize these actors as people with 20 plus year long television experience. And so the actors are people with 20 plus year long TV experience. So we are feeling the same thing that the people in that universe would be feeling. Does that make any sense? Like, it's like very smart casting. Like, okay, this was a little bit after my time for Disney. Like, I didn't watch Austin and Ally, but Caleb Worthy was on Austin and Ally. And his character of Zach started as a child actor and is now aging out of the child roles and is now an adult, but people still view him as the guy from all of the shows that the kids watch. So like now I recognize him from other stuff, but like I still know him as the guy from Austin and Ally. You see how like in my mind it's the same sort of concept? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, do you know what I mean? Similarly, okay, so I'm 27 and the name Keegan-Michael Key, like I have recognized in television for a very long time. So again, somebody in this universe would recognize these names as names established in the television universe. And maybe this is just me, maybe this is just because I found this show from following Rachel on social media, following Rachel Bloom. But I know Rachel Bloom, also starring in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but also writing a lot of her work. So long story short, because of all of that, it's very easy for me to get into this world of the characters. Anyway, so the casting was really good, let me just say that. To just recap, we have Rachel Bloom as Hannah Corman. She is Gordon's daughter. Gordon is played by Paul Reiser. Sorry to spoil, that's actually revealed at the end of the first episode. The show Step Right Up is based off of Gordon's life after he leaves Hannah's mother and Hannah to start his new family with Hannah's ballet teacher and the ballet teacher's son. So that's why Hannah pitches the reboot and she wants to tell her side of the story. Again, this is revealed at the start of the first episode, which we'll get to. Keegan-Michael Key plays Reed Sterling, who on the show plays Lawrence, who is basically Gordon's self-insert character. During the filming of Step Right Up, he was in an on-again, off-again relationship with Bree, who is played by Judy Greer. She plays Josie on Step Right Up. Before I keep going, let's go back to Reed real quick. So Reed, after Step Right Up, left Hollywood to go to Yale School of Drama, which this is mentioned a lot, to go pursue a more dramatic career in theater. Bree also left Hollywood after the occasional guest role after Step Right Up. She married the Duke of Fjordstad, which is a fictional small Nordic country in the series. And prior to the start of the series, she was recently divorced after she found out that he was cheating on her. Caleb Worthy plays Zach Jackson, who in Step Right Up plays Cody, who is the son of Josie and Jake. Johnny Knoxville plays Clay Barber. According to Hannah, she says that it's amazing he hasn't been canceled yet. Krista Marie Yu plays Elaine Kim, who is an executive at Hulu. She sort of became a Hulu executive due to many company mergers. She did not start anywhere near this area of Hulu, but somehow made her way to being the vice president of comedy, which is how she becomes so involved with this show in particular. She starts the series as super serious, but she starts to open up after a while, and I think it's so fun to see how her character develops. We also have a lot of secondary characters who are really interesting. Remember that Reed and Bree had an on-again, off-again relationship over the course of the show, but now Reed is dating Nora. Nora is a playwright in New York City, and she is very hesitant for Reed to go back to the show because she knows that Bree is going to be there. And also because he said that he wanted to move on to the show and never really go back to it. We also have new character Timberly, who is a reality TV star who joins the cast of the Step Right Up reboot, who I love her. I love Timberly. I just realized I made this whole thing so I can like zoom in on everybody. Well, that's okay. We'll know for next time. I just got so into talking about this. Remember how I said I wanted to get more comfortable talking in front of the camera? Maybe I also need to get more comfortable at like remembering what notes I took. For context, I'm not following my notes either. I'm really just talking. Some of the other secondary characters that we meet are people who work on the show, primarily the writers and the directors and other production staff. The writers for the reboot are so funny. Some of my favorite scenes of the show take place in the writer's room. Oh, it's so funny. I love it. I love it. Which again, if I didn't make it clear earlier, I'm a big fan of this show. I have gotten in some social media discussions, I don't want to say arguments, but I will say discussions, because a lot of people did not like this show. But you know, this part of my notes is where I actually talk about what happened in every episode. Let me tell you about the show so then you can make a decision for yourself about whether you want to watch it. This is going to be the long part. Let me just tell you that right now. Also, let me just say, I know I'm supposed to clip the mic onto me and I'm not supposed to hold it like this, but if you've seen anybody in commentary YouTube, I just want to say, if there's anybody who was in my theater program in college, specifically anybody who was in my light and sound class, I know how to use a microphone. We all know how to use a microphone. And I think we all know that this is not the way, but it's the way nonetheless. I'm trying to fit in with the other commentary YouTubers. Throwback to light and sound. Look at my light and my sound. The series opens with Hannah suggesting to the Hulu executives that they should do a reboot of Step Right Up, which everyone is like, why are you suggesting a reboot of a 2000 sitcom when you're known for doing things that are a little bit more edgier, like her recent film, Cunt Saw. She says that in the past, characters on sitcoms always do the right thing. They always have to do the right thing. That's one of the iconic things about sitcoms, but she wants to see a sitcom where characters don't always do the right thing. And they're like, okay, let's do it. Once the show is greenlit, all of the actors start coming back to the show. And Reed in particular is very interested in this reboot because it reveals that his character had a dark secret all along. And again, he left sitcoms and television in general to pursue a more serious theater career. So the concept of his character having a dark secret makes him so interesting, and that's why he wants to come back to this.
And it's still a comedy?
Here's what's brilliant. It is both the funniest thing you've ever read, and you won't laugh once.
His girlfriend Nora is a little nervous about him going back to the show because she knows that Bree is going to be there and that the two of them have a history.
Is she gonna be there?
She. Who?
Really?
You mean Bree?
I'm sorry, is there another cast member you dated for 3 years?
Reed decides that it would be best if the two of them see each other before they go on set together, just to make sure there isn't any weird energy and to get that awkwardness out of the way. But there is actually more awkwardness than there could have been because Bree's shirt gets stuck in her bra and she needs somebody to help her take her shirt off, and Reed just happens to be the only person who's there. Once the two of them are together, they start to fill each other in on all of these successes in their lives, and we can tell that both of them are just sort of exaggerating.
How's life as a duchess?
So fulfilling. It's cold and dark for much of the year there, so our people really look to me to be their warmth and light.
Like the sun.
Embarrassing when you say it like that, but yes, to an entire nation of people, I am like the sun.
It's clear that nobody on set recognizes Zach now that he's an adult, and Zach tells everybody, especially Reed and Clay, that he was really disappointed and like not really able to handle the fact that once the show was over, his two TV dads never spoke to him again, because he wasn't mature enough to recognize that those are his TV dads and not his real dad. So his mind was just like, oh, my dad's just stopped talking to me. So that really messed him up. And everybody else is just like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's me, Zach.
Zach.
Zach Jackson.
Wow. Zach Jackson, all grown up.
Whoa, weird. That's the exact title of my soon-to-be self-published memoir. I get real about my career, my struggle with ADHD. Oh, cool. Look at that picture of a barn.
So a reminder that everybody agreed to Hannah's version of the script. Everybody liked that. Everybody liked that it was a little bit edgier. They felt like it matured and it grew up with them. That's why when all the actors are called to Gordon's office and they see Hannah storming out, they're all very confused. Gordon tells everybody that he's changing the script. He's making it more similar to the original format of the show, and everybody's like, wait, that's not what we wanted, that's not what we signed on for. Reed takes charge of the situation and says that if they don't do Hannah's script, then everybody's going to quit, and he leads a walkout out of Gordon's office. The problem is, nobody else actually wants to quit. Everybody else tells Reed how much they need this show.
I need this show.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? You're the last one who needs this show. You can just go back to being a duchess.
I can't.
Why not?
Because I'm not a duchess anymore.
Zach says that he's aging out of all of the teen roles, so he needs something to sort of be that bridge. And Clay's life is so out of control that it needs like, something to latch onto.
My life's a fucking mess. 3 months ago, Andy Dick told me I was out of control.
Yeah, I got fired from my last teen movie. Apparently, guys in high school don't have hair plugs.
So Reed goes back into Gordon's office and asks for the show to continue. That night, Reed, Clay, and Bree all go to Hannah's house, and they ask her, why do you really want to tell this version of the story? Why is the script so important to you? And that's when she says that she wants to tell her side of the story.
I promise you, Gordon, he's not that bad when you get to know him.
Oh, I got to know him pretty well for about 7 years until he dropped me off at ballet class one time and he started flirting with my super skinny teacher. And then he moved in with her and her super creepy son, Seth. And then he created a television show all about his new step family that acted like his daughter never existed. But we're not going to let him write me out this time.
Oh, shit.
So the big twist at the end of the pilot.
Dear Lord, Lawrence's dark secret is you.
That's why the twist at the end of the pilot in the series, the pilot, is that Lawrence has had a daughter the whole time. Both the characters and us find this out at the end of the first episode. And you would have too if I didn't have a character description at the beginning of this video. I really liked the first episode of the series, and one of the things that I really liked about it is that since the whole show really has that show within a show concept, the fact that the plot twist at the end of the first episode is one that is both in series and also within the show. It's something that happens to like both the characters and to us. I really like that. Also, something that I forgot to mention at the start of this is that every episode is named after a sitcom. Sort of aside from the pilot is called Step Right Up, which is the name of the in-universe sitcom.
Come on, Hannah. We need you to step
Oh, don't say it.
right
Please kill me.
up.
But after that, now every episode is named after a real-life sitcom, which also is a really good way of establishing the sitcom of Step Right Up into something that we as audiences can like relate to. It's basically putting Step Right Up at the same level as the title of episode 2, which is New Girl. In the second episode, Gordon agrees to do a read-through of Hannah's script.
We want her to stay for the good of the show.
Hey, just yesterday I asked her to stay, and she said, quote, I'd rather work at SeaWorld.
And then I had to explain to him why that's an insult.
Who doesn't love the Dolphin Spectacular?
The dolphins.
So what is it now you want to stay? What?
I want to do the script that I wrote.
Really? Because it felt like you wanted to shove it up my ass.
Gordon introduces Hannah as his daughter, and she's speechless. She doesn't really know what to say to that. During this scene of the read-through, we meet Timberly, who is cast as Lawrence's daughter. Timberly is a reality TV show star and not the person that Hannah cast in the role. Since Timberly is so used to reality TV, when she reads her lines, she's overdramatic and very much overacting, which Bree loves because she's like, Reed is going to hate this.
So I guess this is your happy family. You guys are really into cargo shorts, huh?
We like big pockets.
Got a lot of baggage to carry around. Whitney exits.
And he does. He does hate it. Because both of them know that if Timberly is bad, it's going to make Reed look bad. And nobody's going to take him seriously, which is something that he's been working so hard to do. Hannah confronts Gordon about the recast of the character Whitney, who's played by Timberly, and Gordon says that it was something that was done by Hulu, not by him. And basically he says that they have to keep her, so they're just going to rewrite the role to make it fit her instead, which Hannah does not like because Whitney is her self-insert. One of the secondary plots of this episode is that Zach tries talking to a girl, but his mom interrupts. So Zach asks Clay to sort of distract his mom and sort of keep her away from him so he can go do other stuff. Clay says that, yeah, I'll tell your mom to leave you alone. That's not what happens, though. He just tells Zach that he didn't get to talk to her yet. Hannah and Gordon keep arguing about whose bits they're going to keep in the script and whose they're going to cut. Gordon keeps trying to make it in the style of a 2000 sitcom, so physical comedy, jokes, things like that, when Hannah is trying to make it a little bit more serious.
Josie opens the dryer. Instead of clothes, an avalanche of hot popcorn spills out. Very funny.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait, how did this happen?
I think Jake and Cody stashed some microwave popcorn in there.
That's not, okay. So, yeah, this bit is cut.
We have run through in a half hour. Maybe I should talk to Gordon.
Nope, no need, because this is also my show, so the popcorn bit is cut.
Gordon says that if they do the script the way that Hannah wants it, he's going to be portrayed as the villain, and he doesn't want that. Meanwhile, Hannah says that she wrote the script in a way that portrays Gordon accurately. Reed tells Gordon that he needs to fire Timberly, but Gordon says that no, this is going to be a challenge for you. You need to teach Timberly how to act. Bree sees that Timberly is starting to get better, so she starts to give notes that are complete opposite of what Reed told her. I wrote in here that I would have loved to see this scene. I hope that this is one that was just cut. Reed tells Bree that Timberly told him that Bree messed with her head. I would have loved to actually see the scene where they had that conversation. Basically then, once Bree finds that out, and once she finds out how much she upset Timberly, she apologizes.
I was being stupid. I was screwing you up and you were doing so great. There is a reason why everyone who walks past you on this lot loves you. Okay, honey?
Okay.
So listen to Reed, and you're gonna be amazing.
Thank you.
Here's another thing that I wish that we saw. So how hard was it for Bree to acknowledge that Reed was right in this kind of situation? I feel like that kind of thing is hard for Bree to admit, and so I would have loved to see more moments like that. In the middle of filming, Gordon writes a new ending to the pilot, which Hannah is very angry about, until she realizes that the scene is Lawrence apologizing to Whitney.
I was young, I was scared, and that's no excuse. I'm the dad. I should have been there. I should have been a mensch. I made all sorts of excuses for myself. Your mom hating me, assuming you would too. And if I could go back and change things, I would. But I can't. But I'm hoping someday, when you're ready, you'll give me a second chance.
For God's sakes, you two hug.
Afterwards, Gordon says that you probably wanted me to have him say a bit more to her, but characters can't change that much in one episode. It takes a little time. To which Hannah also apologizes, as she has filled Gordon's car with the cut popcorn.
Oh, I'm sorry, too.
What are you sorry for?
I liked this episode too, because I think that we see the potential for character growth. We see the seeds of it. We see the relationship between Gordon and Hannah starting to come together. They're not super close, but Gordon acknowledges that they're not going to be super close that quickly. We see that even though Bree and Reed disagree on a lot of stuff, they are able to come together. And I like that. I think that even though the whole point of this is that modern day sitcoms, the characters don't always have to do the right thing, they are kind of doing that. It's just taking its time. And I like it. I think this was a good episode. Episode 3 is called Growing Pains, and it starts with Clay getting a text from Zach that the two of them need to talk about Clay's new relationship with Zach's mom.
I just want to know, man to man, do you like my mom? Or do you like my mom?
I like what we did, but I don't feel comfortable talking to you about any of this.
Cool. I was just worried. Because if it was one of those wham bam thank you mom situations, she does not handle that well.
This is obviously not what Clay meant, but Zach just goes with it.
My real mom and my TV dad dating. Dreams come true much?
At this point, a staff of writers has been hired for the show, but Hannah hired her own staff and Gordon hired his own staff. It's sort of a mix of generations when it comes to writers, and with each of those generations comes their own style of comedy.
Yeah, so in real life, people don't just magically trip over things the exact moment you need them to.
They can if you write that.
I want to do something less sitcom-y, or, at least something that passes the Bechdel test.
What?
Something that passes the Bechdel test.
No, I heard her. I just don't know what the fuck that is.
Guys, let's go easy on him. He's old.
I heard that too, Carrot Top. Or Carrot Bottom. I don't want to make assumptions.
Reed and Bree talk about a script rewrite where the two of them are in bed together, to which Bree says that's not an issue at all. But it is an issue for Reed.
There's, in terms of the momentum of the scene.
Jared, I think Reed wants to get off now.
Not what I said. Okay.
Because of that, Reed has a meeting with HR and has to wear a modesty garment in the following rehearsals. Bree thinks that this is hilarious because that means that Disney, who owns Hulu, had an HR meeting about Reed. Clay finds out about this as well and decides that he can use company HR to get himself out of this relationship with Zach's mom, because at this point, Zach has started making dinner reservations for the three of them together. But also, so he doesn't have to actually get HR involved, he has somebody pretend to be from HR. In this meeting, Clay is basically told that he has to choose between his relationship with Zach's mom or his job, to which his intention with that is to choose his job, but Zach misinterprets that in thinking that Clay is going to choose Zach's mom over his job, which he can't believe that he's going to do that. Gordon and his generation of writers think that there should be more physical comedy, while Hannah and her team say that no, that's not what's funny nowadays. But as Hannah is leaving the room angrily, she trips over a trash can, which makes everybody laugh.
Are you quitting?
Not much use in a room full of people who can't agree on a single goddamn thing that's funny. So, Ow, fuck me.
Oh.
Don't laugh. You guys are assholes.
Oh, my baby, are you okay?
No.
I'm talking to the garbage can.
Rosie should eat it like that in the kitchen scene.
Ooh, absolutely.
Especially if she just finished giving some big melodramatic speech.
And then she trips over an extension cord because Cody's got his computer plugged in and he's working on one of those NFTs.
Yeah, I see you.
I still don't know what it is, but I like that somebody's falling.
Falling is always funny.
So they decide, okay, maybe there are some things that we can bond over when it comes to comedy. Bree is very angry because Costumes left her a pair of Spanx and she feels like they're making a comment on her body. Timberly says that she'll take Bree out for a night to make her feel better. She and Timberly go out and Bree tells her that it's been so long since she's been in a relationship where somebody actually cared about her, and that's why she's been getting really emotional and trying to hide it when she's in these scenes with Reed. Later that night, we cut to Reed calling Bree.
I just had a sense today that maybe you felt something too. So, if you wanted to talk about it.
You know what? I appreciate you saying that, but I'm actually in a really good place right now.
Oh. Okay.
And that place is in bed with Timberly.
Everything okay? Everything's great.
And that's how episode 3 ends. We open up episode 4, called Girlfriends, exactly where we left episode 3 off, in Timberly's bed, where we have Timberly and Bree. On set, Reed brings up the phone call from the previous night and assures Bree that he doesn't have feelings for her. He just called as a friend, just to check how she's doing. And Bree is like, everything's cool, everything's platonic, we're fine. He suspects that Bree was with somebody the previous night, but she doesn't say anything about who it was. Reed talks to Timberly about it, not realizing that Timberly was the person that Bree went home with.
Nice guy, I hope.
Well,
Not a nice guy?
it wasn't a guy.
Oh. You two. You two?
And once he finds that out, he talks to Clay about it. Gordon overhears and brings this up in the writer's room, which then leads all of the writers to talk about their sex lives. Hannah quickly tries to change the subject and avoids talking about this in the same room as her father. Bree and Timberly rehearse for a scene, and Reed and Clay watch the two of them, and they're wondering if Timberly is just trying to take Bree down because of the strategies that Timberly used on the reality show that she was recently on called Fuck Buddy Mountain.
I'm just stunned. This is so not like Bree.
But it is very Timberly.
What do you mean?
They used to call her Simberly on Buck Buddy Mountain. Men, women, that chick is up and down for anything.
It seems like it's sort of a combination of a dating show and Survivor, which was just so funny. Anytime they said anything about Fuck Buddy Mountain, I loved it. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about this show.
It's just like what happened on Buck Buddy Mountain.
What are you talking about?
There was this super sweet girl, Sarah R., who you just couldn't help but love, but Timberly saw her as a threat. So what does she do? She seduces her. And Sarah R., being the naive Iowa farm girl, let her guard down and then bam.
Bam? What do you mean bam?
She gave Timberly her immunity thong.
Her immunity thong?
Yeah, and then the naked council sent her into sex aisle.
Into sex aisle?
Yes.
Hannah tells Benny, who's one of the younger writers, that her dad doesn't know that she's a lesbian, and she's nervous to come out to her dad. Multiple times throughout the episode, Hannah goes to come out to her dad, and she backs out every time.
Yeah. Mind if I talk to you for a second?
Huh? Yeah, sure.
So, today it occurred to me that you...
Oh, my God. When was the last time anybody cleaned out this place? Look at that. Sanka.
Yeah. You know what? Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to say...
Okay, everyone, time for run through.
All right, thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
This movie talk, is it have to do it now?
Just
Or can we wait till after?
Forget it.
All
Not
right.
important. Forget it.
All right.
Reed and Clay both go to Bree and say that while they support her, they think that Timberly is just using sex to make her less of a threat, and Bree doesn't believe it. But then Bree starts to think that maybe Timberly is just trying to sabotage her.
We are here as friends. First of all, if you are a lesbian, we are here to support you.
That's just wonderful.
I'm not a lesbian. I'm sexually fluent.
I think you mean fluid.
I don't believe in labels.
Can you please tell Bree about Simberly?
What?
It was episode 8 of Fuck Buddy Mountain, Cucks versus Sluts.
Cucks versus Sluts.
And Timberly's alliance was really falling apart.
Falling apart. But the point is, we suspect Timberly sees you as a threat and is using sex to neutralize you like she did on the show.
Do you think that she was manipulating me this whole time?
She accuses Timberly of this, but Timberly denies it and tells her that reality TV is all scripted, none of that was real, but the two of them, like, their relationship, this is something real. Like, she's not faking that.
It's reality TV. It's all fake. I didn't know that. They should put disclaimers on these shows because this kind of mix-up must happen. I sound like an idiot.
You really do.
And when I say relationship, like, honestly, this is really only like a 1-episode thing. It doesn't go any further. It would be interesting if it did, but the Reed and Bree relationship is really what the show focuses on. I don't want to say the friendship between the two of them, because then it seems like I'm just calling it a friendship, but it does not become a lasting relationship. It does become a lasting friendship. I just want to clarify that. History will say that they're friends. In another subplot of the episode, Elaine goes to a restaurant with Zach, and Zach says that Elaine's job seems really boring, and he decides that he's going to take her around the lot, and they're gonna have fun. And Elaine starts to really open up. Hanging out with Zach allows her to sort of let out the fun side. This is the first episode that we really start to see her like that. When she runs into the other executives, at first she's nervous about what they're going to say, but they're all really happy for her.
Obviously, this is not how I typically dress, I am so sorry.
I'm just glad to see you out having a little fun. You work so much, you're starting to freak the whole team out.
A really nice moment, in my opinion. I think we have a young executive feeling like, especially a young woman feeling like she has to be all serious. She's feeling like she has to work all the time to be taken seriously. And then other people telling her it's okay to have fun, you don't need to be the person that you think business needs to be. It's not that big of a moment as I just made it. It's really just a probably 5 seconds long conversation. I liked seeing that. Bree goes back to Reed and Clay and tells them about how Timberly said that reality TV is scripted, and none of them believed it, which I thought was funny.
Guess what? Scripted!
What?
Yeah, every major plot point.
No way.
Yeah. She brought out the outline of the episode where she sleeps with Sarah R., and then she showed me pictures of her at Sarah R.'s wedding.
Shut the fuck up.
Bree tells Reed that he can't do this whole, trying to take care of her and trying to protect her thing because the two of them aren't in a relationship. So stop acting like the two of them are in a relationship. During a later rehearsal, Hannah comes out to her father, which also is the moment that Hannah realized that her dad actually kept up with her career and she didn't know that he was doing that.
Should I back it up or should I just come out?
What?
Do you want me to come out now?
Just come out.
Okay, fine. I'm a lesbian. I'm sorry. You're my parent. So you should know, and I want you to know.
Honey, I know.
Wait, you do?
Yes. I mean, ever since you were little, I didn't know, but I knew. Plus, dummy, when your film came out, you went on all those interviews, called yourself a queer filmmaker.
Wait, you read, the press and interviews?
Yes. What, I can't be proud from a distance?
This is also the moment when Bree comes out as sexually fluid.
I was also gay last night.
Oh.
That's right. I'm a sexual fluid, and there is nothing wrong with that.
Which is also a fun little moment at the end of the episode. Hello. Oh my god. These are the first words that I've spoken all day. So yesterday I had to stop recording because I needed to go to work, so it is the next day, but new day, same cold brew. Or technically different cold brew. Let's get back to it. Also, ever since I woke up, one of my eyes has been bothering me. So if you're not already listening to this in the background like a podcast, you could just ignore this side of my face. Thank you. Episode 5 is called What We Do in the Shadows. It starts with Gordon telling Hannah that she needs to separate herself from the actors. At this point, she starts getting very involved in the lives of the actors because she wants to be somebody that they can become close to, that they can tell her all of their problems, things like that. But Gordon says that she doesn't want to do that. She wants to sort of separate herself, and she doesn't want to get in the middle of all that. Hannah says that that's the reason why nobody likes Gordon, and she doesn't want to be that kind of person. After hearing that Reed feels like Gordon never listens to him, Hannah sets up a dinner with Gordon under the guise that it's going to be the two of them, but really it's going to be Reed and Gordon. She just doesn't tell either of them that that's what's happening. Zach tells Hannah that he's in the middle— oh my god, my eye's bothering me. Zach tells Hannah that he's in the middle of a custody dispute with his ex-girlfriend over their dog Butternut. He says that his ex never lets him see Butternut, and Hannah offers to set up a place in her office where Butternut can stay while Zach is on set. Hannah, with her insistence that she's going to help the actors with their problems, goes with Zach to Marcy's apartment. Marcy's played by Esther Pavitsky, who also plays Maya on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, who is one of my favorite characters on one of my favorite shows. They go to Marcy's apartment, and Hannah very quickly realized that Butternut is not what she pictured at all.
Excited for you to see your dog. Oh my god, it's gonna be like those Instagram videos where doggies are reunited with their owners after not seeing them for a while. The fuck?
Butternut!
Oh, she remembers me.
Oh. Oh, and she grew more hair.
Marcy says that Butternut wants nothing to do with Zach, but Hannah says that if Zach wants to be in Butternut's life, then she should let him. Hannah's very much inserting herself and her experience as a child of divorce in this situation. While she decides that maybe it's best that she doesn't get super involved in actors' lives, she does feel like this was a good decision. She did help. Bree, meanwhile, goes on a night of female self-discovery, which Clay thinks is a scam. Bree calls him from the retreat, saying that it was not a scam, he was wrong about that, and also that she is currently high on mushrooms. She later calls him again, saying that she's separated from the rest of the group and is currently lost in the woods and needs him to find her.
Do you see the house you are at, or any of the other entitled white women?
No.
Bree, tell me exactly what you see.
Well, my eyes are open or closed.
Do you know how to drop a pin?
I don't have a fucking pen!
Not that kind of pen. Listen to me.
Okay.
When we hang up, I want you to hold up your phone and say, "Hey Siri, send Clay my location."
Okay. Okay.
Repeat that.
Sarah, send me on vacation!
Something that I think is interesting about this episode is, okay, we're in episode 5. I want to know how long it's been since the first episode because Clay says that he is 30 days sober in this episode. The reason why that's relevant is because when he goes to pick up Bree, he tells Bree to stay in the car because he has something to do. And that thing he needs to do is go to an AA meeting. Bree does not stay in the car. She goes out to see what Clay is up to and goes into said AA meeting high on mushrooms. But the show so far hasn't really given us that much of a timeline. There's one episode that tells us a day by day in the corner. It says like Monday, Wednesday, but overall hasn't really told us how long it's been. Just assuming based on what Clay said in the pilot versus now, I'm assuming that it's been a month. I'm assuming that he started to get sober when the production started, or maybe even within the first weeks of the production, so maybe we're slightly more than a month in. Anyway, that's a whole side tangent. I was just curious about that. I love to know the timelines of things. I love to know the little details about that. Anyway, so let's continue. That's the Clay and Bree storyline. Remember that dinner that Hannah set Gordon and Reed up on? The two of them get there, and at first they're like, we don't really have anything to say to each other, we should just leave, but then they actually sit down and have a conversation. This scene is what makes this my favorite episode of the series, because so far Gordon has been this character who wants to write these sitcoms with very like cheesy jokes and very over the top like physical comedy, and Reed is somebody who's been so good at that but wants to push that aside to be a more serious actor. And both of them talk about, while they are incredibly skilled in the things that they do, they also are incredibly skilled in the things that they try to push aside. Gordon is really good at telling these like deep emotional stories, and Reed is very good at comedy.
And what makes it especially galling is that you actually have the rare gift of being fucking funny. I'm telling you, your comedic timing when you don't get in your own way, swear to George Burns, it's impeccable. It's like music.
You are smart. You are quick. You are perceptive and more sensitive than you want anyone to think. But I don't understand why you don't go there. Why you don't dig deeper?
And they ask each other, why do you push this other one to the side when you have such a talent in this? Why do you only acknowledge one part of your skill?
You could be one of the greatest comedic actors of all time. You remember those hilarious movies that Sir Laurence Olivier and Daniel Day-Lewis did?
No.
Exactly. Because they couldn't do it. But you have the superpower, man. You can make millions of people laugh. And to put that out into the world, to bring people a little joy at the end of their shit day, fuck you for not appreciating that. Because I swear to God, that is as good an honorable thing as a man can do.
I'm trying to tell you something that I've wanted to say for a long time that's hard for me to say.
Okay.
You could be so good if you just tried. No, Gordon, why don't you try?
What?
Wait, you have so much potential.
What are you're my fourth grade teacher now?
Gordon, I mean it. You are better than that genius in the basement.
Very nice of you to say.
And I just think that that's such an interesting conversation, because this is not just a conversation saying that you have a skill that you don't utilize. It's saying that I respect the skill that you have and the skill that you might not see in yourself. I'm making sure that you know how talented you are in the various facets of your life, and making sure that you have somebody in your corner to be there, even if you don't see it in yourself. Does that make sense? Because at this point, both of these characters have sort of been told what they need to be by the world of Hollywood and by the world of performance and writing in general. And the fact that this conversation is all about them saying, I respect your abilities, and almost like, I respect you, that might be a bit of a stretch. Like, it is though. And at the start of the episode, it was Reed saying that he feels like Gordon doesn't respect him. And Gordon saying that he doesn't want any sort of personal relationship with the actors. This was a very human moment between the two of them when they refused earlier to have any sort of connection with each other. In a short one-season comedy, you don't always get moments like this. And I don't think we really get another moment like this. So it felt so unique. I felt like this was just a very relatable conversation because I think that it's important to tell people that you recognize and support the skills that they have, even if they don't want to pursue those skills. I don't know. Again, does that make any sense? I don't know. I just love this scene. So that's episode 5. Oh, I loved episode 5. I forgot to say this at the start of the episode 5 summary, but we are officially in the second half of the season. And since every episode is about half an hour long, that means that we have about 2 hours worth of content left. Well, of the show. I don't think you have 2 hours worth of content left. I don't actually know how much more content you have left. Episode 6 is called Bewitched, and I will be so honest with you, I think that this is the episode that I rewatched the most amount of times to try to figure out a cohesive way to tell it. Apologies in advance for the fact that the summary doesn't have an A plot, B plot, C plot. I'm pretty sure it has 5 or 6 different storylines. Okay, so the Bree and Reed storyline is that Reed is put up at a hotel by the studio, and it's the same hotel that Bree is staying at. The two of them are starting to hang out together, but also they're like, no, we shouldn't hang out together. But they start to fall into the old patterns and old routines of them when they were in a relationship, including them eavesdropping on people who are around them, which this was so relatable to me. Like, oh my god, I know that eavesdropping is bad, but I did think that this was really funny. Oh no, my chair's falling! They would hear little bits of conversations around them, and then they would create entire storylines of the people just based on the little sentences, and they would connect the dots. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me who does this. I personally love when somebody's on the phone walking past me and I just hear a single sentence and I'm like, oh, I wonder what the context of that was. Especially when it's like, when it is a juicy sentence.
And they were roommates.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
I love that. I love just sitting on a bench in a park and somebody walks past me. It is my favorite thing. But anyway, so that's what their storyline is. That basically is their whole storyline, aside from the two of them eventually make plans together, and then Reed gets a phone call from Nora, and Bree is like, no, maybe we shouldn't hang out together because you do have a girlfriend. Okay, Bree and Reed, check. Let's go to Hannah now. Hannah has started to talk to Mallory from HR. All the writers suggest that Hannah asks Mallory out. Hannah doesn't know if Mallory's gay, so the writers all like deep dive on Mallory's social media, which yeah, honestly, this episode is just really relatable. I'll give it that.
Mallory Bixby.
Yes.
Yeah, Google says she's 36 years old, no mention of spouse.
Okay.
I'll check Instagram.
I'll check Venmo.
She's ancient, I'll check Facebook.
Okay, Mallory Bigsby. Lots of pics with friends.
All right, so
And a dog.
I like it.
No wedding ring.
There we go. I like that.
Uh-oh, arm in arm with a man.
Every time.
Wait, it's her brother.
Okay, does it say there, is she gay?
She paid Barbara Long for tickets to a Janelle Monáe concert.
Great sign.
Well, no. I like Barry Manilow. Does that mean I'm gay?
Means you thought about it.
Okay, Mallory played golf at UCLA.
Come on.
A photo of her at a Fran Lebowitz Q&A.
There you go.
These are cliches. It's all circumstantial.
She has 2 cats named Tilda and Swinton.
And she's a lesbian.
Hannah's saying that this is really embarrassing, but Gordon says that no, he should try to set the two of them up because he's the reason that Hannah is so closed off to everybody.
I think she has some intimacy issues.
No. Hannah? Where the hell would that come from?
Oh, God, he's serious.
But, oh, you think she's emotionally closed off because of me?
No, of course not. No, that was probably the other father that she grew up without.
By the end of the episode, Hannah and Mallory agree to go on a date. Hannah and Mallory storyline, check. Another relationship storyline is happening. Zach wants to ask Elaine out, but Hannah says that HR says that you can only ask somebody out once. If you ask them out more than once, then it's considered harassment. So Zach is like, okay, then I have to make it perfect. And Hannah's like, okay, that's like not exactly what I meant. Every time Zach tries to talk to Elaine, she always has to like go and take a phone call. She has to go and do something.
I'm going to a showing of Pulp Fiction tonight at the Arrow in Santa Monica. There's a whole costume thing. Do Do you think that might be something you'd be interested in doing?
Zach, I'm sorry.
Okay, lift him up!
Oh, just give me 1 second. Oh!
This is Elaine.
Wait! Did that count?
Finally, he is able to ask her out. Elaine is like, I don't want to be seen as that executive who's like dating an actor. Like, I don't know how that's gonna look. She's like, this is the first show that I've ever really worked on. And so if I start dating an actor from that show, no one's gonna take me seriously. The two of them do agree to go out, but in disguise. That is how they get through that.
No reason two coworkers who randomly bumped into each other can't enjoy a night at the cinema.
This is a nice coincidence.
Check mark for them. Who else do we talk about? Okay, Clay. Part of Clay's AA process is making amends with people that he's wronged in the past. One of the people that Clay apologizes to is the director, Jerry. Jerry was the director of the show, both in its original sitcom era and also now during the reboot. First, Jerry doesn't accept the apology because he feels like Clay doesn't mean it. Then later, Clay apologizes again with a more sincere apology, and Jerry accepts the apology. That's it. That's all of the storylines of this episode. Personally, I feel like the characters weren't really interacting with each other in this episode, and it was really just like a bunch of different storylines. Something I forgot to mention early on, and okay, I'll be honest, I have not watched the show that I'm about to mention, so maybe I'm referencing something that I know nothing about. You can correct me. But the person who created this show, Stephen Levitan, is also the person who created Modern Family. And I do sometimes get Modern Family vibes from this, but also I've never seen Modern Family. I've just watched clips of it on TikTok. I may have no idea what I'm talking about, actually. But this kind of reminds me of that, like, there's a bunch of different people and all of their storylines are happening, and that there are common connections between all of them. But I don't know, I feel like I like when they all interact with each other a little more. Especially I really like when characters who don't often interact with each other. I like how in the previous episode Bree and Clay interacted a lot. That's not a pairing that we saw a lot so far. I liked the episode. I feel like this built up a lot of storylines. The problem is that this is episode 6 out of 8. If there was more, then this would have been a perfect build-up episode, and unfortunately, this just felt very disjointed compared to some of the other episodes of the series. In my opinion. That's my opinion. That's my opinion!
That's my opinion!
Episode 7 is called Baskets, and you know how I literally just mentioned that I like when characters who don't usually interact with each other? That's this episode. That is this episode. We have a Gordon and Clay storyline, we have a Hannah and Bree storyline, we have a Reed and Zach storyline. I feel like those are pairings that we have never had before. The episode starts with Gordon and Hannah both having a ton of things to do. Hello, I misread my notes. Let me give you a brief summary. Hannah agreed to let Bree in the writer's room and doesn't tell Gordon about that. Gordon knows how bad Clay is at re-recording his lines. They convince the other person to do both of those, so Gordon goes to the writer's room and Hannah re-records with Clay. Halfway through the episode, they switch, because they both get frustrated. So then Hannah goes back to the writer's room and Gordon goes to re-record with Clay. I didn't realize until putting the clips into this that I skipped the whole first part of that, which is why everything was about to be really confusing. So basically they convinced the person to do the thing that they don't want to do. Bree sits in the writer's room and she says that she's just going to listen, but then she starts pitching ideas that don't really work with the rest of the show and really just star her. For all of the theater people out there, and also for all of the people in my life who are not theater people, but I've just introduced random theater terms for, it's very yes and.
Yes, and they hire a private chef, but he shakes a lot, so the food flies everywhere. Now you go.
I think they did that on the Muppets.
That's not yes and.
Hannah eventually gets really annoyed at Bree's suggestions, and Bree leaves really upset. Hannah does feel like kind of bad about this.
I could also sing Big
No,
Spender.
you're not gonna sing, and it's not a Christmas episode, and she's not fucking Chris Pine, okay? So just stop.
Okay. Sorry to bother you guys. I'll go.
Selma, who's one of the older writers and has been in the business for a while, says that if Bree wants to do this, she needs to take it seriously because that's how people will take her seriously. Bree then comes back with an idea that at first sounds outlandish, but they're like, wait, we can actually do something with this.
I'm a very good ballerina.
Oh, God.
There's nothing funny about that, I know, because I'm so good at it. But I was thinking it would be funny if someone was bad at it. Like, maybe Lawrence, who maybe does it in secret, but he's so bad at it, he hurts his groin.
How did I miss groin pull?
Lawrence as a ballerina would be pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm seeing tights. I'm seeing ice packs on his junk.
Oh, or a frozen steak that Jake was saving for later.
Even better.
Yeah, I like it. I do. Benny, put it on the board.
I really like that. I think that was a really nice storyline. Meanwhile, Clay is having a really hard time re-recording his lines. He gets all in his head, and it's just not going well for him. The lines that he's re-recording is like a one-sentence thing, but he just can't get it.
Realtor who railroaded, realtor who railroaded.
Perfect.
Wait, that's the retort who railroaded me on the brewery. Oh, fuck! Shit on my dick and fuck my balls.
Okay.
Oh my.
Okay. Just don't beat yourself up. This is my fault. It's on me for leaving it in the script.
Just say that's the realtor who railroaded me on the brewery deal.
Really, Axel? I should just say it?
Tim really comes in and re-records an entire monologue just perfectly on the first try, and Clay just gets really frustrated about that.
I thought you guys cared about me, but now I have all these questions. Who is my real family? Who can I really count on? And why isn't Jake wearing any pants? I have been trying and trying to get closer to you guys, and that's not so easy given how you all can be. And after all this trying, what do I win? Drum roll, please. That's right, a Thanksgiving all alone with no one but me and my purple parrots, Pearl and Piper. You're a loser. You're a loser. Thanks, Pearl. Could you pass the really wiggly jello, or do I have to sing for my food? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
Great. Is this my next one? Wait, that's the realtor who railroaded me on the brewery deal.
No, that's Clay's.
You're lucky yours are so short.
Gordon eventually yells at Clay, asking why he can't do this right.
Wait, that's the realtor who railroaded me on the brewery deal.
You just said real tater, dipshit. That's not a word. Okay, let's do it again.
Wait, that's the realtor who railroaded...
No.
Wait, that's the realtor who railroaded me on the...
Get your head out of your ass. Say it right.
Wait, that's the ruminator who railroaded me on...
Now you're just making shit up.
Wait, that's the railroader who railroaded me on the...
What the hell is wrong with you?
And Clay says that this is the first time that he's ever had to do this sober. I think that this is when we find another little Gordon sees the humanity in the actors, because the two of them are able to work through it and Clay is able to re-record the lines. I also think that's a good storyline. Yeah, again, I like this episode. I really do. Like, this is a good episode. Meanwhile, the other storyline, not to say meanwhile immediately after I say that it's a good episode. That sounds like I'm gonna say this is a bad storyline. No, this one's funny too. Zach invites Reed to play basketball with his team, but Zach doesn't tell Reed that his team is all 13-year-olds at the local JCC. He does clarify though that while the team is his boys, they are all men because all but one has had their bar mitzvah. Reed at first doesn't try in the game because he feels bad playing against children, but then he starts to get really competitive when all the kids start calling him names. Eventually he starts to get too competitive and accidentally hits one of the kids in the nose.
Oh shit!
Another kid records it and calls Reed anti-Semitic. Reed deletes the video off of that girl's phone, but then another girl is recording that, saying that Reed is stealing people's phones.
Okay, that anti-Semitic actor just punched a kid in the face.
No. I am not anti-Semitic, okay? I'm not anti-anybody. That was clearly an accident.
Well, I have the whole thing on video, so let's just let the internet decide.
No, you cannot let that video get out, okay? You delete that, please.
No, psycho.
No, you delete it.
No,
You've gotta delete
let go!
Okay, I am just gonna delete this video, and then I'm giving your phone back, okay?
This man just hate crime that kid, then snatched my friend's phone and he's acting insane.
Okay, I'm not acting insane, okay?
Everybody in this situation is a fan of Zach, so Zach is able to handle the situation and get Reed out of it, but it's very funny how Reed is not really able to handle the social media and fear of cancellation by these 13-year-olds, and Zach is able to sort of navigate it as a younger actor.
Ladies, you know what? First of all, no more phones. This is how people get canceled.
It was very much the comic relief of this episode, when the other two storylines had a more, like, emotional moment to them. Okay, we are now at episode 8, which is called Who's the Boss? And if you remember what I said earlier, there are 8 episodes in the series. So just keep in mind when I say the summary that this is it. This is what we get. Okay? This is also the only part of the video that got copyright claimed for some reason, so I'm going to be playing my commentary over the clips instead of just playing the clips in their entirety like I have for the rest of the video. Okay. The episode starts with Elaine coming to the writer's room and saying that there's a new president at Hulu, and she's worried that she's going to get fired. Gordon says that there's nothing to worry about until he finds out that this new president of Hulu is the person who canceled the original Step Right Up 20 years ago. Gordon goes to Tyler, the new Hulu president, and insults him. And Hannah says that he needs to apologize in an attempt to make sure that he's on Tyler's good side, but Gordon says, no, I'm not going to apologize to this guy. I'm actually going to get back to the Gordon storyline in a second. I realize that my notes are a little out of order, so I'm going to get back to that because we need that at the end. Bree is being interviewed. The person who's interviewing her brings up that the Duke, her ex-husband, is in a relationship with the person that he cheated on her with. Put on the spot, she says that she and Reed are in a relationship again and talking about having children. She did not tell Reed about this. Reed has no idea. Reed's girlfriend has no idea about this. Bree goes to Reed's trailer to tell him, but Nora is there instead. Reed has his interview, and he says that since the cast has known each other for so long, he loves that there's no surprises between all of them, until the interviewer brings up what Bree had just previously said. He asks if this is her way of trying to get back together with him, and she says no, she was just in shock of hearing the news about her ex-husband, and Reed says that his life was going great before she came back into it, and that he doesn't want to talk to her. When Reed gets back to his hotel room, Nora asks why that was the first thing that came to Bree's mind. While she empathizes with Bree finding out about all of that on camera, she feels like the relationship between her and Reed is falling apart. In an attempt to save the relationship, Reed proposes to Nora. Nora goes to the other room to tell her mom, and while she's in the other room, Bree calls Reed and says that while she did say that to make her ex jealous, she is still in love with Reed. Reed tells her that he just proposed to Nora, and Bree hangs up. Clay has decided that he's going to buy his first house, and he's a little nervous about that, but he talks to Zach about it, and Zach has already bought multiple houses. A little thing that I like about this is that even though the show came out in 2022, it's already a little dated. You know how I mentioned Twitter like a minute ago? There's also a quote that Zach says, if you want, I can go to Bed Bath & Beyond with you and get all the stuff you need. And Clay says, Zach, listen up. If I ever go to Bed Bath & Beyond, bludgeon me to death with a pizza stone. I just mentioned 2 companies that no longer exist. Or I guess both of them technically exist, but not in the way that any of these characters have mentioned. And it has been not even 2 years since the show has been released. After that conversation, Elaine tells Zach about Tyler and the new Hulu president and his little vendetta against Gordon. Zach tries to tell Clay not to sign the papers on a new house when they're now not sure about the future of the show. Clay signs the papers anyways, and he's now a homeowner. Let's go back to the Gordon storyline real quick. Remember how Gordon and Tyler have hated each other for at least 20 years now? That's something that we don't really get to see much of, and I would have loved to see more in the future. Voiceover time because somehow in my multiple rewatches I missed this line. And it's important. Tyler tells Gordon and Hannah that he's taking Timberly and casting her in another show. They say they need her on Step Right Up, and Tyler tells Gordon, I'm taking your woman, even though you love her, but I wanted to tell you face to face because I think it's the right thing to do. That's the history. That's the history right there. I needed you all to hear that because somehow I missed that. While all of this stuff is happening in people's personal lives, the show is actually becoming very successful. We have a little montage of seeing how smooth the show is running. Everything is working out. Watching all of this, Gordon realizes that if the show gets canceled, it might be his fault. It might be because of his history. So he decides that it is in the best interest of the show if he steps away from the project. Hannah goes to Gordon to talk to him, but he says that he quit the show, and Hannah is very mad about this. She's particularly mad because, again, Gordon didn't try to apologize to Tyler or anything. He just quit. Hannah says that once again, Gordon is walking away from Hannah, and he's letting his pride get in the way of what can be a successful relationship and a successful production. We then cut to Clay's house, Clay's empty house that he just bought. It is nighttime. He's sitting there by himself. We get a knock at the door, and it is Bree. Bree says, I just don't feel like being alone. Clay says, I don't think I should be alone either. Bree smiles, enters the house, and Clay closes the door. And that's it. That's the series. That's the series. Okay, the first time that I watched the show, I didn't realize that was the end. I didn't realize that was the end. I was like, that's it? I want more. Like, oh my god. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about something real quick. The final scene with Bree and Clay. I just want to know what's going to happen there. I forgot to mention something at the start. I just realized that. Another thing that is going to make this different from everybody else, I have a little thing set up for you guys. Hold on. Let me get my iPad, which is across the room. Wait, do I have anything else in my notes that I need my computer for? I thought that it would be fun if I gave my ideas for Reboot Season 2. I just want to say shout out to Abby to giving me this idea. I cannot say that I fully thought of it myself, but I did think of these ideas myself. And I think that would just be a fun little recurring segment in these videos. Because remember earlier when I was like, what makes this commentary channel different from all the other ones? Me giving my ideas. Okay, so just remember for context that this came out in the fall of 2022. I first had this idea in 2023. So we're just going to pretend that this, I just realized that you might actually have some trouble seeing this. Don't worry, I'm going to read. In this hypothetical second season, instead of it taking place in present day, if it was going to be renewed now, I would want it to take place immediately after the season 1 ends for multiple reasons. Assuming that season 1 is present day at time of release, so fall of 2022, my hypothetical season 2 will be end of 2022, early 2023. This is important for the context of the storyline that I have created. And also just keeping in mind of where we've left off, Reed has just proposed to Nora. Bree has just gone to Clay's house. I know that for all of you, I literally just said this like 2 minutes ago, but when I created all of these, it has been a bit, so this was also just to help me remember. Zach and Elaine just started their secret relationship. I didn't even talk about Timberly. I didn't even give Timberly's final storyline. That's okay. We'll get to Timberly. And also, Tyler is letting the show continue now that Gordon quit. Okay. In season 2, I want more Timberly. In season 1, Timberly is considered a recurring character and not a main character, which I think is absolutely absurd. I think that Timberly should be promoted to main character, and that would be the first thing I would do if I was a producer on the show. One of my big things for a hypothetical season 2 would be developing the relationships between Timberly and the other actors. I think that she has the potential to be one of the most interesting characters, especially because in the writer's storyline, the difference between generations is one of the main factors of the show. Timberly being a younger actor, I would like to see how something similar could come from Timberly being on the show. And we see little bits of that here and there, especially with her friendship with Bree, but how can we go deeper into that? Of course, I would go deeper into the love triangle between Reed and Nora and Reed and Bree. As much as I am sick of love triangles, this is what I would do. I would have Reed and Nora speed track their wedding planning, partially as a way to sort of stop any rumors of a Bree and Reed relationship, and also for Reed to just assure Nora that no, he is definitely in on their relationship and there's no chance of him ever being in a relationship with Bree again. At the same time, I would have one of Nora's plays be produced in New York City, so she would have to go back and forth focusing on that and focusing on the wedding planning and have to deal with the stress of the two of those things. The two of them would then have to spend their time in both New York City and in Hollywood, and that would just be an added level of stress to both of them. I think that that would be really interesting. I would definitely go deeper into the Zach and Elaine relationship. I think that this is so interesting. I think that that's a really good relationship. I would have them try to keep it secret for as long as possible, which for a half-hour sitcom would be like half an episode. Like honestly, like it would be half an episode. But Elaine would get overwhelmed about how everybody is recognizing Zach wherever they go. They can't really just have a moment to themselves, and her coworkers would start making jokes about the relationship and it would just be too much for her. She would then break up with Zach, and Zach would try to win her back with bigger and bigger grand gestures, and she would eventually just say like, no, that's not what she wants. I think I would have them get back together though. I think that Zach needs his moments of maturity, and I think that having that sort of conversation of, in Zach's mind, yeah, like a grand gesture is like the big thing. That's what he tried to do when he was asking Elaine out the first time, but Elaine being like, I want these little things. I just want to spend time with you. I just don't want everybody else like around us, things like that. The maturity is just going to click. Like, not entirely. He's still going to be the person that he is. I think that would be a really growing moment for him, and I would love to see that. I would definitely do that. I think that they were trying to set up a relationship between Bree and Clay, and I would not want that. I would not want a Bree and Clay relationship. I would want to focus all of the relationship stuff on the love triangle, and I literally just said I don't like love triangle. I don't care for love triangles. I just think the love triangle are so overdone. I see how this was being set up to be a possible relationship option. I don't really like that. I think that both of them need a friend. That's the thing. The two of them need friends. Neither of them really like have friends in that kind of way. Like, Bree has Timberly now, but I'm going to assume that Timberly has lots of other friends her age. And here's the thing, I think that their friendship could be the base of so many silly side plots. I think that that's why it could be so strong. A relationship between them, I think, would just be like on and off. I think that the friendship could add the silliness to the show. Like, I would want the two of them to accidentally sabotage the wedding. Not even meaning to. I want the two of them to well-meaningly mess up so many things. I would find that way more interesting than the two of them being in a relationship. But maybe that's just me. Again, I can see how a relationship was being set up, or at least a one-time thing was being set up between the two of them, and then what is the possible aftermath after that. I would rather see a friendship, because I think that you could do so much more with the friendship between the two of them than any sort of relationship. I would have Hannah get Gordon back on the show because I loved the moments that the two of them defended each other or found middle ground. So I think that Hannah fighting for her father against Tyler, I think would be really interesting. It would be interesting to have this create a little bit of a power dynamic, with Hannah being like, Gordon, you wouldn't be on the show without me, and Gordon being like, there would be no show for you to get me back on without me. And that might be a full season arc or something like that. It may even be a multiple episode arc. Maybe having like one episode without Gordon, and so they need to realize that they need Gordon to get him back on the show. And Hannah is the only one who can do it. I think that would be really good. I forgot to explain my reasoning for this, but I would want Tyler to turn Elaine against the show. I think that with Elaine being one of the closest executives to the show, Tyler would put a lot of pressure on her to be involved in a certain way, or to basically be the mole, telling him anything that's happening on set, things like that. And a combination of that and the stress of the relationship with her and Zach, I think it's going to be a little bit too much for her. Maybe we have a moment where Elaine walks away from the show and asks to be transferred to something else, and the team has to convince her to stay. I would like that, because I do love Elaine. I would like to see her stay with the show, but I think that she has to have this moment of like, can I do this? Things like that. We're going to take a little trip down memory lane and go back to the beginning of this video, where I explained how the characters of Reboot played the characters on Step Right Up, and the little family dynamic there. Remember how there was the son? I would want Gordon's stepson to be a character on season 2. When the original Step Right Up aired, Zach's character, Cody, was a kid. Now they're all adults. So I would like to see this kid, now as an adult, want to be involved in the production, seeing the success of it, saying, well, you have turned my life into a successful production. I want something of it. You know how we talked about how Zach never really emotionally matured, but now we're having little moments where he's growing up a little bit? I want this kid to truly have never emotionally matured. Zach is going to look incredibly well adjusted. Particularly, something that I want is I want this guy to want some of the money from the show because he thinks that it's making a ton of money, and he's going to invest it all in Dogecoin, specifically Dogecoin. That's what I want. I want that to be a whole thing, and everybody else to be like, what? There is a moment in season 1 where they talk about Bitcoin. I think that they talk about Cody investing all of his money in crypto, but I think that having the real person investing all of their money in like a weird crypto, I think would just like really confuse everybody and be like, oh. I think it would be really interesting to see how this new character fits in with the family dynamic, especially now that Hannah and Gordon are starting to have a close relationship. Did Gordon have a close relationship with his stepson? Can Gordon have a close relationship with both of them at the same time? We'll find out in season 2. Here is my idea for the season 2 finale, and I was so proud of myself for this. Everything is running smoothly again, similar to the season 1 finale, but things are starting to settle down with the whole Tyler trying to cancel the show and things like that. And then, you know how I mentioned before that Timberly was on the reality TV show Fuck Buddy Mountain? Timberly is going to be asked to return to an all-star season of Fuck Buddy Mountain. She's going to have to make the decision of whether she does the thing that she is more known for or stay with the show. Yes, I know that there are things like contracts involved, but we're just going to forget about all that. It's for conflict on the show. Reed's agent sends him a casting notice for a role that he thinks he's going to be perfect for. And he knows that if he auditions for this, it's going to be almost a surefire acceptance. Not only that, but this now means that Reed could be closer to Nora since her show is being produced in New York City. This means, though, that 2 of the main actors of Step Right Up would not be available for the rest of the show. Bree, Zach, and Clay try to hatch a plan to sabotage everybody's attempts to leave, but they realize that they shouldn't get in the way of their friends' careers and what they want to do with their lives. Remember how I said earlier that a Bree and Clay friendship would just be full of little antics and things like that? Like, this would be one of them. But let me go back real quick. I had a bunch of titles for the all-star season of Fuck Buddy Mountain, so I'm just gonna read those off to you. The first one was Fuck Buddy Mountain All-Stars. I give this a 5 out of 10. It's basic, bottom of the pyramid.
You were good. I'm waiting for you to be great.
Fuck Buddy Mountain Bed versus Wed. So this is half of the people on the show are married couples and half of them are not married couples. I think that would be interesting, pairing like that.
You didn't stick out to me.
Next we have Fuck Buddy Mountain Extreme with 3 X's. I liked that. I thought that was funny. This would be similar to the other Fuck Buddy Mountain, but in a different environment. So it would be more of an extreme survivor.
And on top of the pyramid, going 3 for 3.
And then my personal favorite is Fuck Buddy Mountain Fuck Around and Find Out. This is also just more of an extreme version, and this one is going to have a lot more plot twists. I had a lot of fun with these. Anyway, so back to what I was saying about the finale before we had that little tangent. Remember how I said that it was very important that my hypothetical season was at the start / early 2023? This is where it becomes relevant. In the writer's storyline for this finale, the writers are talking about the upcoming strike, and they're all reflecting on like the upcoming vote. Season 2 ends with Tyler coming up to the Hulu office and seeing all of the writers with the picket signs outside of the Hulu executive office. He walks right past them. He then goes to the writer's room. He sits down at one of the chairs. He looks around. He's thinking to himself, that's okay. He can write a show. He looks like he's about to open his mouth and say something, but before he can say a word, we cut to black, and that's the end of the season, because without the writers, we're not doing anything. We are no longer doing anything. That is my idea for the end of the second season. The end of the second season is going to end with the writer's strike, and that's why it needs to take place at the time that it does. That's it. That's my second season. Okay, that was fun. I'm just gonna close this out with some of my thoughts, some of the things that I liked, some of the things that I disliked, even though I definitely sprinkled those in throughout the video. So I definitely have less here to say than I have scripted. I know I already mentioned this, but I really liked seeing the generational differences on the show, especially when it came to talking about different styles of television and comedy and how things have changed. I thought that was really interesting in a show where the whole concept is a show from the 2000s being rebooted 20 years later. Talking about how things have changed makes so much sense. I have seen a lot of people in various social media forums saying that there were a lot of moments in the show that just like eye roll kind of thing, feeling very like, oh, the kids are so woke these days kind of thing. It makes sense in the context. It's the younger generation being like, you can't say these things on TV anymore. And the older generation being like, why can't we say these things on TV anymore? And you're saying that in the context of a TV show where you are referencing how things have changed over the past 20 years. Like, it makes sense. I just saw a movie last night where there were very similar kind of sentences and it just felt very forced. But on this show, it like doesn't when you think of it that way. Maybe that's just me. Here's the thing. I'm gonna mention Modern Family again, which I still haven't seen in the past 20 minutes since I've mentioned the last time. I think that that's a good sort of reference point given the fact that that show had been on for so long. Long-running shows have to change with the times, and you need to make sure that it's changing in a way that it doesn't drop your audience. It grows with them. Your show doesn't stop becoming your show. I don't know if that makes any sense. I might not even put that in there. One of the things that I would have loved to have more details on is the history between Hannah and Gordon. What was happening like right before this show? What made Hannah decide that now was the time to tell this story? And also, did she think that she was going to be able to do this without Gordon finding out? Because like it really seemed at the start like she thought she would be able to do this show without Gordon knowing, when like he is the one with the rights to the show. Or did she intentionally do this to try to create a closer relationship? Like, that didn't seem like it, but maybe in the second season they could have gone more into that. I don't know. That's something that I would have loved to know more about. I think that one of the difficult things about a half-hour comedy like this, where there's so many main characters, is that unless a storyline involves multiple people, there isn't a lot of time to dedicate for each character. I think that that's why I liked the episodes where the storylines involved so many characters, and especially the characters who don't interact often. In episode 6, where it seemed like basically everybody had their own storyline, there wasn't necessarily a lot of time to dedicate to everybody, so everything just felt rushed, while other episodes had the groups of 3 and things like that, and that I really felt like you could dedicate time to everybody. Because like, let's say that the episode was 30 minutes. I think it said that most of them were like 21 to 24 minutes. If it was 30 minutes and there were 3 storylines amongst the 7 characters, that's 10 minutes per storyline. That's not a lot of time to tell a story. In a lot of the episodes, they are able to do that, which is really cool. That takes a lot of skill. But if there's 5 storylines, then we cut that even more. After the multiple rewatches that I have done for this video, I feel like I would have loved to know a lot more about the characters, and that's the problem with having 8 half-hour episodes, really 8 24-minute episodes. That's not even 4 hours worth of content, so I would have loved to know more about these characters, and I feel like we were really just starting to dive into their relationships. So you may be wondering, after you've watched like the 2 hours worth of content that this was probably going to end up as, cut it down to an hour and a half just for you. You're welcome. Should you watch the show? I did really enjoy it. Is it my favorite show that I've ever seen? No. But am I glad that I watched it? Yes, absolutely. There were so many things that I really liked about it, as you know, because I just talked for so long about it. How many times am I going to watch it again? At this point, I don't know how many times I'm going to watch it again. But I'm glad that I watched it more than once, because after the second time I was really able to appreciate it. And again, I've seen so many people commenting on how much they don't like the show, and I have to wonder, like, how closely did you watch it? How invested were you in the characters? I can't speak for other people. Maybe people were paying as much attention as I was the second time and they still didn't really like anything. If you are looking for a very quick comedy, then yeah, put this on. Truly, the one thing that I would say is if you get really frustrated by storylines not having conclusions, then that might annoy you. But that's going to happen with one-season TV shows that don't know that they're not getting renewed until after they come out anyway. That's going to happen all the time. It's a quick comedy that you can watch, honestly, in a day if you want to. Trust me, there are some shows that I absolutely do not recommend, so I do still recommend this one. I think that there's an audience for anything, and there's definitely an audience for this. I am the audience for this, really. And I will continue to defend it on both Facebook and Reddit. I've done it before and I will continue. If you see one person defending it on every social media, it's probably me. I'm the one with the long paragraphs. Anyway, so this is the first video of this format on this channel, and if you have any suggestions for shows that I should review in the future, please let me know. I already can sort of see in my mind some things that I would like to change, but we are way too far into this to do that. It would be really cool if you gave this video a like, if you maybe even subscribed, maybe tell your friends about it. If you know me in real life, tell me I did a really good job. Maybe even lie to me and say that I did a really good job. If you are my family, maybe send it to somebody else in my family and be like, hey, just put this on in the background and like turn the volume all the way down, but just like play it somewhere so then I can get the views. Like, I don't know, you can do all that. Anyway, so, yay! Okay, bye. Let me know what show I should do next. Okay, bye.